I feel like we could take over the world, especially after tonight.
We have just one episode left before Tayshia's journey as the Bachelorette comes to an end, and we're breaking down everything that happened in part 1 of the finale. Hey guys, welcome to another Shared News from Home. We have got to talk about everything that has gone down so far in Tayshia's finale episodes. But before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta and Hibba Berry. Hi, guys. So tonight was a crazy night. We obviously had fantasy suites, which I know we were looking forward to. I think it was safe to say it was a stressful but fun time for Tayshia. Fantasy suites are also always just so weird for the guys. We have a lot to unpack. Let's just kick things off with the fact that Ivan was given the first fantasy suite date. Their daytime activity was unique, to say the least. We had a world record attempt, which really came out of left field to me. Obviously, they were competing, I guess, or looking to break the world record for the longest, coldest kiss. They were in a freezing ice bath. They beat the record and then some. They kept kissing in the ice. I mean, listen, this was an interesting accomplishment. No matter what happens, they will, I guess, always have this. It's a pretty crazy way to kick off their date. What were your thoughts on this activity, Gabby?
I thought this was so strange. I hated all of it. I would totally never do this. It looked like torture. I feel like the producers just Googled, like, what's the weirdest record, but like most doable thing to accomplish for these two to try on their date. But of course, Ivan was a great sport. He got a really nice long kiss out of it. So it wasn't too terrible in the end. And because they broke the record, so they had something to celebrate after that.
As weird and as cringy as it was, I feel like they were kind of showing off to us. I mean, like, they could go longer and just kept going and going and going. And I mean, I thought it was so cute because it was so fun to see them do such a random and spontaneous thing. And, you know, Ivan just always takes the punches, and so does Tayshia. I mean, I don't even know if this was her idea, but again, it just shows you how, you know, fun these two are, and they're always just doing things on the limb. And I mean, I feel like they're always just so into each other that they'll do anything for one another. And it was so cute, you know, seeing them like rubbing each other while they were like freezing cold. I feel like it was such a strange setting, but you know what, again, it put their relationships to the test.
You know, it was crazy, it was weird, it was cringy, but I think you made a really good point. It just shows, like, those two are up for anything, and their connection could withstand an ice bath, so I guess they've got that going for them.
It certainly can. I think Chris Harrison was having a lot of fun announcing it too, as if it was this like a very exciting event that was going on. But let's move on to the second part of the fantasy suite dates, which included a dinner date. Tayshia tells Ivan she thinks they can take on anything together, including world records, and that they can take over the world together. They also talk about how easy it was to connect and break down their walls, of course, different than we've seen with other relationships this season. Ivan then also talks about how much the word love means to him and that he's started to fall in love with her weeks ago. Tayshia responds and says that she is falling in love with him too. So he got a little bit of validation back from her, which is always great when you put your heart on the line like that. So Ivan's falling, and they did decide to go to the fantasy suite. So this part of the day also couldn't have gone better. You could just see them falling in love with each other. There was a sparkle in their eyes. They had an amazing day, and they're looking forward to spending the night together. So Tayshia certainly felt ready to take it to the next level with Ivan. What did you guys think about this dinner date?
I was really, really impressed with this. I felt like this was a private conversation that I was like a fly on the wall for. It felt so real. It felt like it was rooted in reality. You know, I think Ivan does a really, really good job of explaining his feelings, explaining like exactly where he is. He makes it so welcoming for her to, you know, open up as well. So I think they have a very strong, very real, very mature connection. And I kind of felt like, okay, this is going to be a tough date to follow. Like, once again, Ivan has knocked it out of the park. So I just continue to be more and more impressed with him.
I agree. I mean, Ivan is always hitting the nail on the head. I feel like he just knows Tayshia so well. He says the right things all the time and just constantly winning her over. And I thought it was a really sweet moment where they kind of related and exchanged that, they've cried in front of each other already. And that just shows, vulnerability and that they're always open with one another and they're not embarrassed. And I also love how they have this balance of, being silly and spontaneous, but still, talking about deep subjects. And I feel like that's always a great foundation for any relationship to grow from. So I'm always rooting for Ivan. I hope he pulls through, so we'll just have to keep watching. Now, the fantasy suites kicked off with Ivan as Tayshia's first choice. The two spent the night in an Airstream and stayed up all night talking about the little things and serious things for the future. Tayshia said Ivan is the perfect guy and he is everything. Ivan is ready to even propose. Now, Fiona, what did you think of their connection and that he's also ready to propose?
I thought it was really interesting. I mean, obviously, I think it's huge that he's ready to propose. I feel like, we haven't heard that from everyone, right? Poor Brendan is like clearly not on that level. But there are certain things that I find really intriguing about Ivan because I believe him when he says he's ready to propose. Yet he continues to use the choice of words that he is falling in love with her as opposed to in love with her. And I just can't imagine getting engaged to someone that like I haven't said I love you to. So granted, part of that is this like warped reality of the Bachelor, Bachelorette. I think that, there's a certain degree of like, some people go into this thinking like, okay, if I really like this person, if I can see a future with this person, I'm going to play the game. I'm going to get engaged and then we're not getting married for a while. Like maybe he's looking at it from just this is the competition. This is where we are approach. But that did strike me as interesting. I think I trust Ivan. I believe him. I don't think he's pulling a fast one, but I don't know. I hope that Ivan, he seems really ready to me. I hope that he seems ready enough for Tayshia that he can make it into the final two.
Agreed. I think that it's interesting to compare Ivan versus Zach and Brendan, who have been married and divorced before. I think overall Ivan's just more like optimistic and just more, has a different outlook on it because he hasn't been down that path. He hasn't seen the dark side of what could happen, I guess you could say. So all of his reservations are, not as much as the other guys, which totally makes sense. So I think it's great that he says he's ready and that he's falling for her. And, I think that shows how much he really does care for her and how genuine it is because he's just ready to pop the question and start his life with this girl he hasn't known for very long, but has a great connection with. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic. I think the other guys who are a little bit more reserved are like that for a reason. And, they just think a little bit more outside of Bachelorland as opposed to how Ivan's probably thinking right now. But either way, they all seem pretty ready to go here.
I totally agree. It's going to be so interesting because, we've said it a million times. I feel like we're like broken records, but they're all just such great guys. That doesn't, though, take away from the fact that it is so awkward to watch these conversations. They clearly all have respect for each other. They seem to really like genuinely like each other. But fantasy suites, things just take a turn. It is tough. I think, it happened every time a guy came home, but Ivan was the first one. It's difficult. I think it was Brendan who was like, part of me wants to know everything and part of me wants to know nothing. But overall, you guys, I feel like they did a pretty good job navigating these tough moments and they handled themselves very respectfully, which of course we, don't always see. So I was impressed. How did you feel during these awkward moments, Hiba?
I feel like Ivan and Zach, when they came back into the room, they just said enough, but didn't say everything. They didn't say too much or too little. They just said the right amount. Because again, this is such a private thing, and the fact that you're gonna go back into this room, sit down on a sofa with two other guys that are also dating this girl that you're falling in love with or in love with, it's just such a weird dynamic that no one else probably has ever gone through. And again, it just goes into this untraditional, way of dating and finding this potential partner for you. So I give them props. I could never.
I agree. This is always the weirdest part, but I think nothing can ever top the moment with Maddie and Hannah Ann and Victoria in the room. those three staying together during Fantasy Suite. So, you know, no matter what, nothing's going to be more weird and awkward than that one.
Oh my God, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think they did as best they could, and you are totally right, Gabby. It was nothing like that, which is definitely a leg up. It's gonna be so crazy and exciting to see who ends up either engaged or not engaged, or what the heck happens tomorrow night. We want to know all of your final predictions, so let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the incredible Gabby Ganta and Hippa Berry. If you want to come say hi on socials and chat all things Bachelorette, our handles are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you all next time. Bye.